We present these health presentations on a monthly basis. And today, the topic is going to be, as you can see on the screen, cleansing the temple. This thought is kind of in conjunction with our Sabbath school lessons from January all the way to June. So we've been talking about the temple or the sanctuary. So we're talking about cleansing the temple today. This presentation today is actually in 3 parts. The first 2 parts you don't see, but the third part you see. And don't worry, I know you're straining now, but those will be projected up top so that you can see those. As I started out this health presentation earlier this month, I posed 2 questions to the audience. And I'm going to see if you remember those 2 questions and if you remember the responses and the answers. But first, let's look at health from the biblical standpoint and health from the world definition standpoint. 3 John verse 2, one of my favorite verses. Who knows this verse by heart, verbatim? Who knows this? Okay, I got 3.5. Okay, so we're going to read it then. Beloved, we're going to read it. We're going to read it. Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. Now, the Bible is bringing into view here how many parts of us? How many parts of us human beings is the Bible bringing into view here? At least 3, right? 3. Mental, the physical, and the spiritual. So when we present health presentations, we are addressing all 3 of those aspects of the human, the mental, the physical, and the spiritual. Let's look at the definition. And this is the World Health Organization worldwide accepted definition that came into acceptance in 1948, just a few years ago, huh? So it says, health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So they're at least adding one more component, your social well-being, how you get along with other human beings. So if you don't get along with other human beings, you may be doing well in the other 2, but you're still not considered healthy. Have you considered that before? Complete physical, mental, and social well-being. So, when I asked the first question earlier this month, I said, why is health so important to God? Why is health so important to God? As you ponder for just a couple seconds, why is health so important to God? So you see one of the answers and statement that we used earlier this month. It is because his crowning act of creation, his most prized creation, we're sick. We are sick. We just saw the biblical definition or meaning of health, and we just saw the World Health Organization meaning. So we are sick, and God is not pleased nor happy with that. And so man being defiled with sin, sickness, disease, and even death, all of which God never intended for us. It said man was the crowning act of creation of God. And I'm going to skip down. Man is very dear to God because we were formed in his own image. The fact should impress us with the importance of teaching by precept and example the sin of defiling by the indulgence of appetite or by any other sinful practice the body which is designed to represent God to the world. That's a mouthful. But that is one of the reasons why health is so important to God. So these slides just simply let us know that God took the time to make us a crowning act and a most powerful creation. This first statement, if God had not created Adam with 20 times the vital force, we would be extinct. Ponder that for a moment. So that means God puts an awful lot of his power in man at creation, that we have withstood 6,000 years of sin, sickness, disease, and death. So that's why, another reason, health is so important to God. Another reason is that because we, as God's creation, we are in this state, God has sought to redeem us. And so as he works in the heart of mankind, you and me, and he begins to teach us and heal us, we then share God's love by doing this. Our hearts get softened, that we fall back in love with God, and that the world then must have an antidote for sin, sickness, disease, and death. And so God in all of this is presenting an antidote for sin, sickness, disease, and death. He is the only one that can save us through this. So he's providing an antidote for sin, sickness, disease, and death. So the second question I asked was, so then when did God share and give his health message, or the story of our health message? And as you can see, this is a book that I introduced at that time. And this is the book within itself, the story of our health message. How many has ever heard of that book before, even before? No, just a couple. That's the story of our health message. And I want to share how this book came into being. Just a very simple thought. It actually came into being through the Spirit of Prophecy, Ellen G. White. It's not written by Ellen G. White, it's written by D.E. Robinson. But in Ellen White's will, she desired that other health books would be presented to the Advent people to help with health. And so there was one gentleman who was a secretary in her cause that she had asked that he would continue the writing of the books. But as it turned out, he was not able to do so, and the cause fell to this lady, Doris Eugene Robinson. And so as a request through Ellen White's will, she undertook the task of writing the story of our health message. A very wonderful book, and it dives into quite a bit of the health message that you and I know. In conjunction, these are some of the other books that we know. Ministry of Healing, a wonderful book that we all know and use. It came out in print in 1905, a few years ago, right? Counsels on Health came out in 1923. Counsels on Diets and Foods came out in 1938. And then, of course, the book we just talked about, the story of our health message. And still in question or answer to the second part of about the health of the story of our health message and why it's so important, Jesus, in his parting conversation with the disciples of the night before the crucifixion, the Savior made no reference to the suffering that he had to endure and must yet endure. He rejoiced in the consciousness that he could and would do more for his followers than he had promised, that from him would flow forth love, compassion, and cleansing the soul temple, making men more like him in character. So when Israel of today humble themselves, when we humble ourselves, cleanse the soul temple from all defilement, he will hear their prayers, our prayers, in behalf of the sick, and will bless us by the use of his remedies for health. And so when we go back to the Ministry of Healing book, we understand those remedies on page 127, the health laws and the remedies that we talk about in every health presentation. Because we're defiled, we're unclean, and we need to be cleansed. And so this slide just talks a little bit about the defilement. And it goes back to where we, in our lessons at this church from January to June, it talks about the atoning and the cleansing. And, we talk about the physical sanctuary being cleansed on that day of atonement. We talk about those things. So, as I move into the next part, we want to switch from looking at the temple from the earthly, the physical, that physical structure, to our body temples. And this verse in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 19 through 20, takes us through that transformation. What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own, for ye are bought with a price. Therefore, glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. And so, therefore, we must assist in cleansing the temple body. You agree? Yes. Thank you, sis. Yeah. So we're going to look at cleansing the body temple now in the next two parts. First, the external of the body, and then we'll go internal of the body. So the skin, this is what you see. You see an individual skin. When you approach someone, you see that outer covering, which is the skin, the largest organ of the body. That is what you see. So God required Israel to cleanse before coming to the temple, as we've studied. A great amount of suffering might be saved if all would labor to prevent disease by strictly obeying health laws. Now, when I started studying this some years ago, it took me back to when I was in elementary school. Some call it grade school. They used to teach health then. Anybody remember that? Yeah, they used to teach health in grade school, elementary school, and it took me back to then. This says impurities are constantly and imperceptibly passing from the body. So if impurities are constantly passing imperceptibly from the body, that means internally they're coming outside of our body through our pores. And the surface of the skin is not kept in a healthy condition, the system is then burdened with impure matter. If the clothing worn is not often washed and frequently aired, it becomes filthy with impurities, which are thrown off from the body by sensible and insensible perspiration. So that's one of the ways that this body is releasing, and it goes through the pores, the outer part of the skin, and even to the clothes. And this is talking about those need to be cleaned, washed. And if the garments worn are not frequently cleansed from these impurities, the pores of the skin absorb again the waste matter thrown off. So the body then reabsorbs our waste, our toxins, if we don't cleanse regularly. The impurities of the body, if not allowed to escape, are taken back into the blood and forced upon the internal organs. And we wonder why at times we may end up with some sickness, some disease, or even death. So, I want to take a look at still this external part, the process and the history of bathing. Bathing. Do you know bathing now in our world is totally different than the way it used to be? And so what we have here is an array of bathing situations. Back in antiquity, very, very early biblical days, they had the common pool houses or pool areas. All the common people would go and bathe in the one common pool. Would you do that? Yes, you would if you were back then. But they did. They bathed in this one common pool. And what we just talked about, the toxins being released and all of that, where do you think those went if they were all in this one pool? Into the water and back into individual skin and internal. So that was the way it was for many, 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 even thousands of years. And then it went to, maybe they went down to the river or creek and washed. Maybe that's a step up. So then we go through another few thousand years and we see the horse, the Westerner and his trough. And so let's take our mind back maybe to like the 1800s, that era. Do you know they only bathe at most once a week? And when the cow pokes came in, they jumped in the first pool that they could find, the horse trough. Now, who's been drinking and lapping over into the horse trough? Horses. But if that's the best you could do, that's what they did. Some didn't have a nickel, a dime, 15 cents, whatever it cost at that time, to go into one of the bathhouses and get into a tub. So you did the best you could do, but still it was not cleansing. Then we have the tin tub, what we called the foot tub. Now, this is all the way down into the 1950s and 60s. I remember I've taken many baths in those foot tubs because we did not have indoor running water plumbing. Where are the young people? You think you got it bad. So, what's the task and the burden of taking a bath like this every night? You gotta sit the tub. You gotta go get the wood for the wood burning stove. Then you gotta warm your water on top of the stove. Then you gotta pour the hot water into this. And finally, you disrobe and you take a bath. And if it's a lot of you in the family, you get out and the next one get in. We're talking about toxins. We're talking about cleansing the temple. It has not always been as easy as it is now. And the last one, all our modern people, this is your shower, and you can jump in anytime. Indoor running water. Amen. That's the first amens I've gotten this afternoon. So this is a history of cleansing and removing toxins. God has been bringing the people along through the years and encouraging healthful tendencies. In this book, Ministry of Healing, 1905, there is a chapter dedicated especially to hygiene among the Israelites. Have you ever read that? You need to read that. Hygiene among the Israelites. So we talked about jumping into the tubs, the pools, still not fully cleansing. But what about the clothing? We read a statement earlier that God required Israel to cleanse their clothing as well. So Isaiah said, we are all as filthy rags. Even though we're looking good right now, we still got on filthy rags. What we have been facing all day long, toxins in the air, breathing in and up, the toxins are hitting clothing, hitting face. We still have on filthy rags right now. In the Bible, particularly in Exodus 19, the Israelites were instructed to wash their garments before receiving the Ten Commandments at Mount Sinai. They had to clean garments to receive the law. This act symbolized purification and readiness for a spiritual encounter. So cleansing is just not physical, it's a spiritual encounter, and it shows our state of mind. Washing clothes was a common purification ritual representing the removal of impurity of sin. So now that you can talk to individuals, you can tell them it's just not about clothing. It's just not what individuals often say, all those health laws, all those ritual laws like this, they were only for the Jews. Not so. It was for showing our spiritual encounter with God. And in fact, and this slide is going to come later, but I'm going to share it now anyway, Paul even debunks that idea that this is only for Israel, because in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 11, he tells us that all that happened, especially with Israel and their encounter with God, is for our example as we wait on God, Jesus, to come back. So it was not just for Israel, it is still applicable today. And so in God requiring Israel to cleanse for a spiritual encounter, what do you think about us when we come for Sabbath worship? You know, Satan has deceived us so well now that he says, oh, it's all right. Just go there, even though you can do better. But just go to the house of worship anywhere you want. Wear your holy pants, and I mean holes in the pants. Wear your FUBU shirts. Wear your football jerseys, because when you leave here, you can probably just go to a game or something. Have pastors in the pulpit, the rostrum, which represents the most holy place, in all of their non-attire. And it's not that we're dressing to look good in front of an individual. It's an encounter with God. So let's read this. Many need instruction as to how they should appear in the assembly for worship on Sabbath. They are not to enter the presence of God in common clothing worn during the week. In fact, we're told that we should have a special outfit for Sabbath. Now, all of us seem we do pretty well. We might have 2 or 3 outfits just for Sabbath. But that's the point. We should not be wearing our work clothes to worship on Sabbath for our encounter with God. It says, on Friday, let the preparation for the Sabbath be completed, which means all of your clothing, everything as it relates, should be done, even hours before Sabbath, so that you won't be rushing, so that your mind can be free and at peace. So, moving right along, we're going to take it internal. Defilement internally comes by what we eat, drink, put into our mouths, allow environmentally to come in. And in fact, we would do well to, as the slide says, guard the avenues to our inner soul. Guard the avenues to our inner soul, And that would be another aspect of cleansing the temple. Counsels for the Church 166, paragraph 1. Avenues to the inner soul, all should guard the senses lest Satan gain victory over them, for these are the avenues to the soul. If we're defiled inside, does that not ever show forth itself externally? Sure it does. The avenues to the mind which must be guarded, you will have to become a faithful sentinel over your eyes, your ears, and all your senses if you will control your mind and prevent vain and corrupt thoughts from staining your soul, cleansing the temple internally. Why? Because Satan and his angels are busy creating a paralyzed condition of the senses. So it's the battle, it's the war still going on, even with our senses. So that cautions, warnings, and reproofs shall not be heard, or if heard, they shall not take effect upon the heart, and it will not reform our life. So Satan is fighting us through our senses. What we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we eat, where we go. Satan is on the march. So now we're going to go internal as we're moving right along, because you'll have an opportunity for comments and questions, but internally. Now, don't worry, I know you're straining your eyes now, trying to see these. That is, if your eyes are open. So we're going to take a look at the first one. We've been talking about washing, cleansing. So we're going to talk the first one about is water. Water. Here, water. Drinking water. Are you infusing your body with enough water per day? Let me get back to my right one. Are you infusing your internal body with enough water per day? Not asking you to answer, just think about it. And we've gone over these formulas and how much water is required a day. It used to be the standard 64 ounces a day. That used to be a standard answer. And so now it's 1/2 your body weight in ounces. You've heard this formula before. So a quick example. A 100-pound person, 1/2 of that is 50 pounds, but that's converted to ounces. So a 100-pound person then would need 50 ounces of water a day. So that's the formula. You're 200 pounds, you need 100 ounces of water a day, generally. That's a lot of water, isn't it? Brother say yes. But that will make sure that your body is fully hydrated, and you're going to go to the restroom enough to urinate and release and cleanse the internal organs. That has to take place if we're talking about cleansing the internal. So water. Drinking water is essential for maintaining good health, as it plays a crucial role in various bodily functions. Adequate hydration is necessary for overall well-being and to prevent issues of dehydration, kidney stones, and constipation. So we talked about how much water. What types of water? So we have an array. There's you go and you look at waters. There is a huge array of water. So for me, I drink mainly alkaline water. Two reasons. The water from your tap, that's out. The water from your tap, from your faucet in your house, that's basically out. We understand those reasons why. No? Okay, this is why. Because generally, if your body is fighting to maintain an alkaline state, but you're drinking your tap water, which is usually 6 or 7 on the pH scale, you're already in an acid state. An acid state encourages the growth, proliferation of cancer cells. An acid state does. So we want to try to keep this body internally on the pH scale of 7 and higher. And alkaline water basically does that. So here, you see, can you see 88 on this water? 88? That says this pH in this bottle of water is 8.8, which is above the balance scale of 7. So this is an alkaline water. This is 8.8. It just says 88, but it's 8.8. The one I have in this bottle that I've been drinking most of the day is 95. That means 9.5 on the pH scale. So what is this pH scale? So you already know it relates to your internal body, whether it's acidic or alkaline. So the pH is a rating that talks about the possibility of having enough protons, which is life, the pH scale, your level of protons, your level of life. And so we need to have a higher pH, preferably 7 to 9 for your pH reading. So when you do your annual physical, ask them to do a pH test on you, just like we encourage that you do a hormonal check. Ask for a pH to understand where your scale is. That can help you in making adjustments for what you intake and what you need to do in your life. And so there are some other types of waters. There's all kinds of waters that's out there now. On this one, the first one says ginger water. Yeah, just, cut ginger up, boil it, let it cool and drink it. Lemon water, one of the favorites, and Frank and I talk about this one all the time, and we talk about the lemon water. One of the best times for lemon water is when you wake in the morning and you first hit the floor, drink your lemon water. So why is that necessary? Because in the morning is the time after your body has gone through all of its nighttime detoxifications. It's pulling your toxins, cleansing your internal organs, moving those toxins to your lymphatic system, awaiting you awakening in the morning, and going to release. Hopefully in both of the releasing manners. You know what that means. And so if we take lemon water, which is alkaline, the lemon, though it tastes acidic to us, is actually alkaline in our bodies, that will assist in the elimination process. And your body will be happy most of the day. So that's lemon water. You got mint water. And Sister Tracy, you know my favorite. Peppermint. My mint water, a couple drops in the water, and yes, you can drink that. I caution not more than a couple drops if you're going to take internal. Essential oils within themselves are very, very powerful. So just a couple drops for mint water. You got honey water, you got rice water, you got cucumber water, rose water, aloe vera water, coconut water. Now, all of these, they have all different benefits, But one great benefit, again, is that they are alkaline. They help alkalize the body. And again, having an alkaline body does what? It moves you from the acid state, which is more on the sickness and disease side, to the alkaline side, which is more on the health side. So those are some of the reasons and the things that we need to know about drinking water and the different types of water. So if you can get alkaline, fine. If you can get real, true spring water, that's good. The purified water that we buy and we run to the grocery store to get, barely crossing the pH of 7, barely. But at least it's on the balance level. Questions, all your questions, please. And so otherwise, we're going to just keep going around and around and around, bringing toxins in, not releasing them, and toxicity builds up in our system, and it leads to sickness and disease. Our body is 70% water, so that's another point of why we need so much water. Our bones need enough, our lungs need enough, our brain needs enough. That might be one of the problems that we're having in society, people not drinking enough water. Muscles need enough, especially if you exercise and you work your muscles, which we all should be doing. So all those reasons for the water. Another reason, your tap water, your water in your house and the purified water. One of the main problems with those is that they have the amount permissible of chemicals. They've gotten rid of most of the liquid, but they still have other chemicals, mainly fluoride. Fluoride in a buildup and a large quantity in our systems is toxic. Every year, twice a year, I go to my hygienist and she wants to clean my teeth, and she's gotten to the point now, she said, I know, Michael, scratch the fluoride. Say yes. No fluoride. We get enough just incidentally in other different foods, and so that's okay. I'm not going to go and allow her to just fill my mouth full of fluoride, and then it's going to absorb in my mouth cavity and into my blood. So fluoride is one of the major causes and one of the main things that's in most of the tap water and even some of the purified waters. So I suggest, if you go into the store, read labels. So you want to get away from a lot of the chemicals that's still permissible in those waters. And I always appreciate the information that we have here. So if no other reason you want to drink water, there's a reason. Can you see that? The fountain of youth. We all want to be youthful, don't we? But do we want to pay the price that it takes to be youthful? So internally next, the eye is looking at you. So what can we do with the eye? What can we do? If we do all these other things in some form or fashion, we will subdue most of the health concerns that come upon us. You know, some are hereditary. Some families run cataracts, those things run in the family. But have you ever considered, as a maintenance, putting lemon drops in your eyes. How many has ever done that? 1, 2, me. And I do it routinely. And yes, it stings. But when you first originally start doing it, but then after that, just a quick sting and it's gone. So what is that doing? Well, it helps bring tears, that's for sure, which lubricates your eyes. And it helps the eye to flush out toxins. Remember, we're walking around all day long and you can't see the invisible microscopic components just flying but they're going into our eyes, they're going into our nose, they're going into our mouth. And so the lemon can help flush some of those. It assists because blinking does that otherwise, and that's another problem. We perhaps don't blink enough. I know I took note of, or became conscious, how many times am I blinking for a minute, and I'll average it out. How many times am I blinking a minute? It said we should blink at least 12 to 15 times a minute. That sounds like a lot, doesn't it? Because most of us we're fixated with our eyes open and stretched, which is causing eye concern. It's not helping with the flushing out. You're not blinking, so therefore you're not, releasing the tears, which flushes out the toxins and drains down the tear duct. But if you do the lemon, and I just brought this because I didn't bring a real lemon, but I squeeze a real lemon, it will help. Another item you can put into your eyes that help those conditions is real honey. Just a drop of honey into your eye. The eye will, it will bring the honey down to where it liquefies and drains out. But all of these are bringing nutrients to the eye as well. Anything that we do, anything we put in internally, if it's not a component of nutritional value, it's garbage. And it's going to create a problem. Anything that we put in that's not of nutritional value, what does that mean? It means if it's not providing vitamins, minerals, or the good fats that we need, and any of those other things that fit into the pie chart for a holistic diet, it's garbage. The body can't use it. What good is it if it's not going to provide the things the body needs? So all of these are providing some nutrient to the body part. Now these are not exhaustive in the only way and thing you can do, but this, because of time, we just want to touch on a couple things here and there. So the ear. If you have something going on in the ear, or maybe a little wax build up, how can we get those out? Well, you remember when we used to get a Q-tip and go into the ear with the Q-tip? Oh. That can create more of a problem. If you see on the right side, the intricate working of the inner eardrum, and can you imagine us pushing a Q-tip all the way in, trying to grab maybe some wax, and we're pushing the wax further and further in? No. So here's a couple just things we can do. Now, I once tried, and I did it just because I wanted to experience, but I went to someone and they did the candle ear waxing. You ever had that experience? Just warm the tip of, you hold your head over, and they don't burn your ear, but the heat, if you have wax, it will liquefy it and hold your head till it drains out. So that was one way. Here's another. Hydrogen peroxide. One of the most powerful, blessed things that we can use as an antiseptic. There's tons of household things that we can do with hydrogen peroxide, but just a drop, and it cleanses. It's an antiseptic. And I'm going to hold this one because I'm going to move it over to that one as well. Olive oil. Olive oil is another, it works similarly to the hydrogen peroxide, but the olive oil just drops into the ear and it cleanses the ear. So these are just some common, simple things that we can do. And so what's next on the internal? The nose, nasal. There's so many problems, individuals with nasal problems and conditions. We need to cleanse our nasal passage every day. Do you know that in the morning, when your body is going through its detoxification, that the cerebral fluid off your brain is draining down, and if you don't get this out, what are you going to end up with? Compacted nasal cranial area full of the toxin, which then becomes what we call, thank you, snot. Mucus, dried mucus, if you're not cleansing. So, practical use, truth. I use this every morning. So I start out with cold water. Which is one of the simple hydrotherapy remedies. Thank you, Sister Diane, for coming up with all these. I love these pamphlets. I've sent them around the world. Amen. But the peppermint oil, start out with cold water, get the blood moving, just a dab, put it in my nostril, dab in another nostril, dab on my tongue. Then I go to the hot water, all over my face. Then I close it off with cold water. You will start draining. That will start draining. And probably for the next 5 or 10 minutes, periodically, you will drain all of that mucus. And you can breathe. You feel so lightheaded. You feel good. And God can speak to you. Every morning, I do that. That's one way. Now, this is what most people are probably doing. This, I don't know if this is on the screen. No. You'll run to the drugstore and you get Navage, the mechanical one. But you know, you put it in your nostrils and mechanically it's forcing the liquids to drain out your sinuses. If that's what you need, we need our sinus areas drained and cleansed. So next, oral hygiene, cleansing the mouth. The mouth is a very busy body, you know that? It's quite busy. You know, like little kids, everything goes to the mouth. Everything. Right, Sister Tracy, a teacher? Everything goes to the mouth. Filthy. And you and I as adults, we're not much better. Because though we're not picking up everything and putting it in, we see something we like, it goes to the mouth. So, we end up sometimes with not so good a smelling breath. Or our teeth is not as clean as they should be. And we won't floss. And we won't use the little brushes. And we may brush periodically. Not good. So if we use that process, 2 to 3 times a day. And we go back to our hydrogen peroxide, which is an antiseptic. You will have some of the best smelling breath. You can have, this actually even whitens teeth over a period of time. It will actually cleanse your teeth. So you want to gargle with this, perhaps instead of a lot of the over-the-counter mouthwashes. What's wrong with the mouthwashes that's over the counter? Most of them have 3 ingredients that we should be avoiding: alcohol, fluoride. You know, those, Tracy's on it, she's on it. And it's another chemical. I can't think of it right now, but this is 3. Aluminum. Aluminum has been traced and is often attached to, you know, some of our mental problems, cognitive problems, Alzheimer's, those things, aluminum. So we need to read the ingredients. Or for me, when I go into my store, I already know there are several manufacturers. Tom's is one of the best. I don't know if you've seen Tom's, but Tom's, all their products are usually devoid of those 3 things. This is Brush Buddies, but this is like a charcoal type toothbrush, but it says gluten-free, paraben-free, fluoride-free, dye-free, aluminum-free, all that stuff. So these are things I use. If you don't want to use this, you don't want to go to the store and buy any of that, baking soda. Going back to the old school, baking soda was used for everything. You can brush with this. You can gargle with this. Three more. The foot, our feet. Now, what can we do with the feet? It takes a pounding. Works hard. Becomes hard. So for me, every morning after my shower, I rub my feet down with good old organic virgin coconut oil. Yes. Try to help soften the feet. And even though I'm a man, I want soft feet. And it would do us quite well, especially on communion days, because we still wash each other's feet, you know? Just a thought. But the feet, I mean, we can rub it in olive oil, we can rub it in aloe vera, we can rub it in the coconut oil to help soften them, help create blood circulation. It's a mild form of massaging your feet. Because some other practices is we can take some things and help to cleanse and detox our bodies through our feet. And you've heard of those foot detoxing pads on the feet. Slices of onions on the feet, especially the red onion on the feet. Detoxing, cleansing. And so that one there, the homemade foot pad, it has some cayenne, it has some probably ginger, all those ground up. So put a slice of onion in there and you'll have a good foot detox. So the skin, you know, there's a lot of things. I was talking to Caitlin before she left, and she said, "Oh, my skin is so nice." I said, "Yes, dear, you have youth on your side." So for us, we've gone through the rigors and the wars and the battles. Drink enough water. We got to drink enough water. We got to drink enough water. We can use aloe vera instead of some of the over-the-counter moisturizers and lotions, which is full of chemicals. So if we're going to do some of these things to help remove toxins and chemicals, then we don't want to go to the store and buy something that's going to put chemicals back in us. So we may have to make changes all the way around. But aloe vera, tea tree oil, again, if you're using oils, especially essential oils, only a drop or two mixed with coconut oil or some other carrier oil, because they are so powerful. On your external skin, they can burn your skin. So just a drop. Apple cider vinegar. Where is my apple cider vinegar? Apple cider vinegar. Now, this is one that they say that it can help remove skin tags by killing the bacteria and fungi. And so it can help, from that standpoint, to move skin tags and those kind of things. It is an antiseptic, it's antimicrobial, antibacterial, antifungal, and it too is an antiseptic. Very powerful. But this is also along with the hydrogen peroxide. So the last one, save the best for last. Let me move over here. Okay, don't want to stay there. Okay. Internal organs, cleansing the internal organs. It's a daunting task. So therefore, we need to do more things overall to reach and touch the internal organs. So cleansing, the term detox cleansing. You can see on the right side, one of the common colon cleansers. And you can see the formula that they're using. Pure organic apple juice, fresh lemon juice, ginger, Himalayan salt, and then warm water. Those in combination help get in and break toxins down and help the body to release. Because the body wants to throw out some things, and some of these ingredients the body wants to get rid of, and so therefore it helps to cleanse. That's just one. In the middle, you see the little formula to help try to cleanse and detox the liver. Turmeric, beet juice, grapefruit, and carrots as a juice or blend. You have the lungs, the digestive tract, which I want to focus on a little bit more. Green apples, cucumbers, aloe vera, and ferrule. I'm not sure what that means, but there's 3 ingredients that in almost every natural formula, there's 3 that's very, very common. Start out with garlic. 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 Ginger. Red onion. You mix those 3 and you drink that tea broth on a regular basis. It helps cleanse and it helps to build up immunity. I was sharing with the sister, when we went through the COVID, that was the main blend that I used the whole time. I never had a cold, no congestion, nothing as it relates to COVID. Those are 3 of the most powerful ingredients that we can use internally. And then, if we address viruses or something antiviral, add golden seal and elderberry. So that 5 ingredient, it helps cleanse and it helps detox. Well, if you need to go further step, there is something called super dieter's tea. Super dieter's tea. Now, it's not like your regular over-the-counter diet tea. Let me share a few things with you, what's in here. Lemon peel, lemon mint, orange peel, spearmint leaf, licorice root, marshmallow root, and not like the marshmallows you go and buy in the store. Eleuthera picote, I'm not sure what that one is, that's a little beyond me. I have to do some study on that. Papaya leaf, honeysuckle, and slippery elm. So that would be a good cleanse tea. And if you want to go and start talking about getting rid of parasites and worms, happy gut. Happy gut. So it has some of those same things. Vegetable extracts and Aphia's leaf. It's a natural type leaf, but it's good for cleansing the colon with parasites and worms. So how do we end up with those? One of the main reasons is compacted flesh diet that hasn't been fully digested and eliminated. Even if you're vegan and you're on a natural diet, if for whatever the reason you're not eliminating regularly that rotting food, then turns. So at some point, you've got to get rid of it, and it's got to release, or it puts toxins back into the bloodstream, and the bloodstream goes to the different organs, and then you have a toxic state. So these are just some common areas or common things that we can do to help cleanse. And one other last one that I use that I put in some of the different ones is soursop. Soursop tea. Soursop tea is one of the ones that's mainly noted to help with cancers. Soursop tea. There was just some other waters and how to flush out some of the different parts: the blood, pomegranate, orange, ginger, beetroot. Let's see, I want to sort the kidneys: cucumber, lime, celery, cranberries, and red bell pepper. The liver: turmeric, beets, carrots, garlic, and green tea, which has some caffeine in it, but this could be better than nothing, I guess. The pancreas: broccoli, garlic, spinach, sweet potatoes, red grapes. So what you find is a lot of the cleansing things for our internal organs are what? They are the things that we say we should be eating all the time anyway. Plant-based diet, fruits and vegetables. So we just keep coming right back to the same thing in all the presentations about what we should be doing: vegan, plant-based diet. Okay. So, if any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy. For the temple of God is holy, which temple ye are. In the ministry of healing, the only hope of better things is in the education of the people in right principles. And that's what we endeavor to do here at Berean Church of Free Seventh-day Adventists. Each month, usually the third Saturday afternoon, Sabbath afternoon, 3 o'clock, we do a health presentation. The health and temperance team is in counsel with God, and the Holy Spirit lets them know what they should present. And the natural remedies, ministry of healing, page 127, paragraph 2. Pure air, sunlight, abstemiousness, rest, exercise, proper diet, the use of water, trust in the divine. These are the true remedies. And we talk about these time after time after time, but sometimes God's people We're not getting it. Analyze for yourself of the 8 health laws, which one or ones you are not doing or doing on a regular. As I talked about before, God sent a health message through Israel in the wilderness, and Paul joins that wilderness experience with our experience. You know, he had a hard time getting the Corinthians to understand that the Corinthians were a very vile group of people. But he also said it's even for us at the close and the end of time who are awaiting Jesus. He talked about the things that happened in the wilderness. And you can see from A through J, under the cloud they passed through the sea, baptized into Moses, and should all eat the same spiritual meat. And he was actually bringing them back to a reform movement, right, Pastor? And revival. A reform movement and revival. Remember, they came out of Egypt and they were a defiled, contaminated people. And God had to re-cleanse them mentally, physically, spiritually, to bring them back up to his standard. And we talked about that earlier. And so, just practical ways of cleansing the temple that we can present our bodies back to God, which is our reasonable service. So at this time, I'm gonna close, and if there's any questions, first I want to give the Health and Temperance team, if you would like to share anything, add anything.